came in and drank from the mother. And then we watched her milk a cow. It was really perfect, because it really shows then that we're sharing the milk with the calves, with the commercial people.
Right.
You know, that's how it started. So it was really... so anyway, yeah, in case we were filming for a cow fest, the calves, and we got there, Scott had already finished, and just at that moment a calf was coming in. The mother had already been milked, and so then the calf gets what's left, whereas in a commercial place they don't get anything.
Don't they start in the beginning to let down the milk? Don't they? Aren't they the ones that started off and then they take them away? Because that's how the milk comes down.
We milk the cow first.
Oh.
Then the calf comes in and gets about probably a third that's left.
When is this?
But in a commercial, that's part of being in a Himsa dairy. You know, they don't get any milk. They just get some combination of whey and something else. So then we watched another cow being milked that we just recently purchased. So anyway, so we never read the pastime of Lord Haridasa Thakur, who's the Namacharya. Every morning we say Namacharya, Srila Haridasa Thakur ki jai. So his passing was on Saturday and it didn't happen. Thank you, Bhakti Jesse, for helping this morning. Thank you. So we're going to read that pastime, but I lost my glasses.
You got money here, though.
No, I had another pair with me. Didn't I? Oh, there they are. Sorry. Okay. So I'll just see. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Namacharya Srila Haridasa Thakur ki
Jai.
So this is from Antya Volume 2, and the chapter is 11. The passing of Haridasa Thakur, which was a few days past, and we didn't have a chance to hear this pastime. The summary of this chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya as follows. In this chapter it is described how Brahma Haridasa Thakur gave up his body with the consent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and how the Lord himself personally performed the funeral ceremony and carried the body to the sea. He personally entombed the body, covered it with sand, and erected a platform on the site. After taking a bath in the sea, he personally begged prasadam of Jagannath from shopkeepers and distributed prasadam to the assembled devotees. In the other, Antya Lila Volume 1 is the glories of Haridasa Thakur, which is a very extensive chapter. But if you notice, it says Brahma Haridas. And in Chaitanya Lila, Lord Brahma comes as Haridasa Thakur. And I read a book about Haridasa Thakur, I forget, one of our ISKCON devotees. And in it says that after the stealing of the cows, when Lord Brahma stole Krishna's calves and the cowherd boys, he realized, that Krishna, there's other relationships other than awe and reverence, and he wanted to participate in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya's upcoming appearance. For him, you know, it would have been 4,500 years later, but that's not a very long time in Lord Brahma's time. Mm-hmm. So he went back to, apparently, in this book about Haridasa, I wish I could remember the name of it, says that he went up and made some arrangements for a while he would come down here to be part of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and insist Lord Chaitanya or Krishna and in his Radha Krishna Leela, you know, this Krishna in the mood of Radharani, distributing the mercy of the holy name for the Kali Yuga. And he became the Namacharya. That's why it's referred to as Brahma Haridasa Thakur. So I'll try to read some of this. This is the first one is the Sanskrit, so it's the offering respectful obeisances. I'll start there, and then maybe I'll just read the English translations. Namami Haridasam Tam Chaitanyam Tam Chatat Prabhu Samstitam Apiyan Murtim Svenke Kritva Nanartaja. Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Haridasa Thakur and his master, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who danced with the body of Haridasa Thakur on his lap. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Doya Maya. Jaya Dvaita Priya, Nityananda Priya Jaya. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is very merciful and who is very dear to Advaita Acharya, and Lord Nityananda. Jaya Srinivasa Swara, Haridasa Nata, Jaya Gadadhar, Priya Swarupa, Prananata. All glories to the master of Srinivasa Thakur. All glories to the master of Haridasa Thakur. All glories to the dear master of Gadadhar Pandit. All glories to the master of the life of Swarup Damodar. Jai Kati Priya Jagananda Praneshwara. Jai Rupa Sanata Raghunatha Swara. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya, who is very dear to Kashi Mishra. He is the Lord of the life of Jagadananda and the Lord of Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. I'll read all the Jaya verses, okay? It says, because these Jaya Gora Deha Krishna Swayam, Bhagavan Kripakari Deha, Prabhu Nija Patadana. All glories to the transcendental form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, kindly give me shelter at your lotus feet by your causeless mercy. Jai Nityananda, Chandra Chaitanyara Prana, Tomara Chana Radhavinda Bhakti Deha Daiva, or Dana, Jaiva, see, Bhakti Dana, Bhakti Deha Dana, All glories to Lord Nityananda, who is the life and soul of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My dear Lord, kindly give me engagement in devotional service at your lotus feet. Jai Jaya Dvaita Chandra Chaitanya Ara Swachanana Bhakti Deha Jaya Dvaita Charya. All glories to Advaita Charya, who is treated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as superior due to his age and respectability. Please give me engagement in devotional service at your lotus feet. Jai Gaur Bhakta Gana Gora Jana Prana Sabha Bhakta Mili Mora Bhakti Dehadana. All glories to all the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for the Lord of their life and soul. All of you kindly bestow devotional service upon me. This is Krishnadas Kaviraj, who is the author of the book. This is his prayers. Jai Rupa Sanatan Jiva Raghunath Gopala Chara Mora Nata. All glories to Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They are my masters. So now he starts to get into regular Bengali. I'll just read the English translation. I am writing this narration of the pastimes and attributes of the Lord by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. I do not know how to write properly, but I am purifying myself by writing this description. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus resided at Jagannath Puri with his personal devotees and enjoyed the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I mean, you notice when this first thing he says here is that I don't know how to write. I'm only doing this for my own personal purification. He's not thinking about becoming some big author or anything. He doesn't think of himself in that way. He's doing this as a service for purification. In the daytime, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in dancing and chanting and in singing the temple of Lord Jagannath. All night, in the company of his most confidential devotees, such as Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar Goswami, he tasted the nectar of transcendental mellows of Lord Krishna's pastimes. Excuse me. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very happily passed his days in this way at Nilachala, Jagannath Puri. Feeling separation from Krishna, he exhibited many transcendental symptoms all over his body. Day after day, the symptoms increased, and at night they increased even more. All these symptoms, such as transcendental anxiety, agitation, and talking like a madman, were present, just as they are described in the Shastras. Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Roy, the chief assistants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, remained with him both day and night. One day, Govinda, the personal servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went in great jubilation to deliver the remnants of Lord Jagannath's food to Haridasa Thakur. When Govinda came to Haridas, he saw that Haridasa Thakur was lying on his back and chanting his rounds slowly. Please rise and take your Mahaprasad, Govinda said. Haridasa Thakur replied, today I shall observe fasting. I think he was chanting something like 167 rounds a day. I have not finished chanting my regular number of rounds. How then can I eat? But you've brought Mahaprasad, and how can I neglect it? Saying this, he offered prayers to the Mahaprasad, took a little portion, and ate it. If there's a purport here, where Prabhupada says, Mahaprasad is non-different from Krishna. Therefore, instead of eating Mahaprasad, one should honor it. It is said here, Karila Vandana, he offered prayers. When taking Mahaprasad, one should not consider the food ordinary preparations. Prasada means favor. One should consider Mahaprasad a favor of Krishna, meaning the plate, prasadam that comes right off the plate of the Lord. Krishna is very kind. In this material world, we are all very much attached to tasting various types of food. Therefore, Krishna eats many nice varieties of food and offers the food back to the devotees, so that not only are one's demands for various tastes satisfied, but by eating prasadam, one makes advancement in spiritual life. Therefore, we should never consider ordinary food on an equal level with Mahaprasada. I mean, in this regard, I was watching a pastime on the Yadabar series. It might have been on volume 6 or 7. Prabhupada was in Juhu, and there was these big mounds. Looked like chipped rice and fruit. And all these people were coming. Some were village people or little children, and some of them were very successful-looking business people. And they're all, and Prabhupada's distributing just little bits. And everyone is gathered. And Prabhupada would say that it's not that they are taking out of, that they're, of course we had a Food for Life program, but they feel, the high class, middle class, low class, they all feel like this is like a sacrament to take this prasadam, like in communion. So that they all come, they all want to take some. At one point, because there were so many people gathered around the Vyas sign, and they kept bringing these trays about this big, and it was like that. You've seen it in the video. And so Brahmananda, at the time, he was, he said, because he said Prabhupada used to do the same thing at 26 Second Avenue. Then it was just like an apple. He would cut it and then pass it out to the hippies who came, or the people that were, from the Bowery, which generally meant they were intoxicated. And he was always passing out pieces of apple. And now here he is doing the same thing in Juhu Beach. You have more people coming, and it's the same mood. And so Brahmananda said, well, Prabhupada, I can help you. I'll help, because there's so many. And Prabhupada said, no, I must pass it on. He took this as a great, this was his service, this was a great, responsibility, that he must distribute this little bit of rice, chip rice, this little bit of fruit to each person. This was his purpose. This was his purpose for being, was to distribute this mercy.
Also, the way to understand that is that the people wouldn't have been as satisfied getting it from Brahmananda as from Prabhupada,
Yeah, and I had an experience. I was very fortunate. The last time I went to India in 2005, Japataka Maharaj has this program. It's the old Prasadam Hall. You've been to that, Kaivalya? Yeah. And there's hundreds of his disciples come. And sometimes he has some of his godbrothers come with him. And they're all kind. He has trays of pastries and things and fruit. And this day was myself, Jaggi Jivan, who just passed away, and Bhakti Swarup Damodar. Now Bhakti Swarup Damodar, his prasadam, when he gave out from a different plate, they took. They were trying to get from him and Japataka. So my first experience was, I didn't know, I didn't understand exactly. And so at one point I started to just take something off the plate and give, and Maharaj went, no, I give it to you, you give it to them. Like that. So I thought, exactly. So that, so that's the same principle here that with Brahmananda saying, let me help. Prabhupada handed it to him, and then he handed it to, but Prabhupada was just handing it out. So Japataka engaged us in that way. He allowed us to assist him because there's so many people. So Jagat Jivan and I, he would hand us something, and then we'd hand it out over there, and he'd hand there, and then he'd hand there, like that. And then Bhakti Swarup Damodar was also handing out. But he was also, an initiating spiritual master. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Haridasa Thakur's place and inquired from him, Haridas, are you well? Haridas offered his obeisances to the Lord and replied, my body is all right, but my mind and intelligence are not well. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further inquired from Haridas, can you ascertain what is your disease? Haridasa Thakur replied, my disease is that I cannot complete my rounds. And then there's a purport about, if you cannot complete the fixed number of rounds he is assigned, if one cannot finish those rounds, he should be considered to be in a diseased condition of spiritual life. Srila Haridasa Thakur is called Namachari. Of course, we cannot imitate Haridasa Thakur, but everyone must chant the prescribed number of rounds. In our Krishna conscious movement, we have fixed 16 rounds as the minimum, so that Westerners will not feel burdened. That 16 rounds must be chanted and chanted loudly, so that one can hear himself and others. Okay. So now that you have become old, the Lord said, you may reduce the number of rounds you chant daily. You are already liberated, and therefore you need not follow the regular principles very strictly. Here's Krishna himself telling you that he can reduce. And there's a purport. It says, I don't know if I can read all the purports and finish the whole thing, but I'll just see, I'll glean some information. Unless one has come to the platform of spontaneous love of God, he must follow the regular principles. Thakur Haridas was the living example of how to follow the regular principles. Similarly, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was also such a living example. In the Sat Goswami Ashtika, it is stated, and now maybe the Bengali, the Goswamis, especially Raghunath Das Goswami, strictly followed all the regular principles. The first regular principle is that one must chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly enough so that he can hear himself, and one must vow to chant a fixed number of rounds. Not only was Raghunath Das Goswami chanting a fixed number of rounds, but he had also taken a vow to bow down many times and offer obeisances to the Lord. So the next, this is, I don't know who's speaking now. Lord Chaitanya or Haridasa? I think it's still Haridasa. No, it's Lord Chaitanya. Your role in this incarnation is to deliver people in general. You have sufficiently preached the glories of the holy name in this world. And that's why Prabhupada says he's known as the Namacharya, Haridasa Thakur. And that Bhaktisiddhanta, his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, says that advanced devotees help the Supreme Personality Godhead in his mission. And that such devotees or personal associates incarnate by the will of the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord incarnates by his own will, and by his will, competent devotees will incarnate to help him in his mission. Haridasa Thakur in this incarnation is thus the incarnation of Lord Brahma, and other devotees are likewise incarnations who help the prosecution of the Lord's mission. The Lord concluded, quote, now therefore please reduce the fixed number of times you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Haridasa Thakur replied, kindly hear my real plea. I was born in an inferior family. My body is most abominable. I always engage in low work, and therefore I am the lowest, most condemned of men. I am unseeable and untouchable, but you have accepted me as your servant. This means that you have delivered me from a hellish condition and raised me to the Vaikuntha platform. My dear Lord, you are the fully independent personality of Godhead. You act by your own free will. You cause the whole world to dance and act as you like. My dear Lord, by your mercy, you have made me dance in many ways. For example, I was offered the Shraddha Patra, which should have been offered to first-class Brahmanas. I ate from it even though I was born in the family of meat-eaters. Then there's a verse here that describes, how Bhaktisiddhanta preached that we can all, even though we come from a family of meat-eaters, we can rise to the platform of Brahmins by following the strict instructions. I have had one desire for a very long time. I think that quite soon, my Lord, you will bring to a close your pastimes within this material world. I wish that you show me this closing chapter of your pastimes.
Not show me.
What? I wish you not show, excuse me, yes. I wish that you not show me, thank you. I wish that you not show me this closing chapter of your pastimes. Before that time comes, kindly let my body fall down in your presence. I wish to catch your lotus-like feet upon my heart and see your moon-like face. With my tongue I shall chant your holy name, Shri Krishna Chaitanya! That is my desire. Kindly let me give up my body in this way. O most merciful Lord, if by your mercy it is possible, kindly grant me my desire. Let this low-born body fall down before you. You can make possible this perfection of my desires, of all my desires. Can you give me, is there a tissue there? Can somebody give me a tissue there? Is there any there? No, okay, there was. Anyway.
Well, here, we have,
Women always have tissues or something.
yeah, nicely folded.
No, thank you very much. That's good. That's good. That's little allergies. My wife, she carries a bag. She has everything in that bag. Wherever she goes. She's or it used to be on 12. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my dear Haridas, Krishna is so merciful that he must execute whatever you want. But whatever happiness is mine is all due to your association. It is not fitting for you to go away and leave me behind. Catching the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur said, my Lord, do not create an illusion. Although I am so fallen, you must certainly show me this mercy. My Lord, there are many respectable personalities, millions of devotees who are fit to sit on my head. They are all helpful in your pastimes. My Lord, if an insignificant insect like me dies, what is the loss? If an ant dies, where is the loss to the material world? My Lord, you are always affectionate to your devotees. I am just an imitation devotee. But nevertheless, I wish that you fulfill my desire. That is my expectation. Because he had to perform his noon duties, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up to leave, but it was settled that the following day after he saw Lord Jagannath, he would return to visit Haridasa Thakur. After embracing him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left to perform his noon duties and went to the sea to take his bath. The next morning, after visiting the Jagannath temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accompanied by all his devotees, went hastily to see Haridasa Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees came before Haridasa Thakur, who offered his respects to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, my dear Haridas, what is the news? Haridasa Thakur replied, my Lord, whatever mercy you can bestow upon me. Upon hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately began great congregational chanting in the courtyard. Vakeshwara Pandit was the chief dancer. Headed by Sri Rupa Damodar Goswami, all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu surrounded Haridasa Thakur and began congregational chanting. In front of all the great devotees like Ramananda Roy and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to describe the holy attributes of Haridasa Thakur. As he described the transcendental attributes of Haridasa Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seemed to possess 5 mouths. The more he described, the more his great happiness increased. After hearing of the transcendental qualities of Haridasa Thakur, all the devotees present were struck with wonder. They all offered their respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of Haridasa Thakur. Haridasa Thakur made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sit down in front of him, and then he fixed his eyes like 2 bumblebees on the lotus face of the Lord. He held the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on his heart, and then took the dust of the feet of all the devotees present and put it on his head. He began to chant the holy name, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, again and again. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya. As he drank the sweetness of the face of the Lord, tears constantly glided down from his eyes. While chanting the holy name, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, he gave up his air of life and left his body. Seeing the wonderful death of Haridasa Thakur by his own will, which was just like a great mystic yogi's, everyone remembered the passing away of Bhishma. There was a tumultuous noise as they all chanted the holy names, Hari and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became overwhelmed with ecstatic love. The Lord raised the body of Haridasa Thakur and placed it on his lap. Then he began to dance in the courtyard in great ecstatic love. Because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love, all the devotees were helpless, and in ecstatic love they all began to dance and chant congregationally. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced for some time, and then Swarup Damodar Goswami informed him of other rituals for the body of Thakur Haridas. The body of Thakur Haridas was then raised onto a carrier that resembled an airship and taken to the sea. This is 500 years ago. How do they know what an airship is?
And how they have a carrier. Handy.
Yeah.
How did it say it again?
It says, the body of Haridas Thakur was then raised onto a carrier that resembled an airship. And
But what is the Bengali
Yeah,
text?
see.
Because that's the translation.
Vimana.
it says Vimane on the carrier of an airship. And Vimana is it's in the Vedas. They even have the dimensions and the description and how the thrust, the anti-gravitational thrust. I mean, many scientists in the past have studied it. They recently apparently have found a couple in various parts of the world, but you can't go near them. There's one story, I don't know if it's true. Anyway, I'm going to read this. I don't know. I'm going to go down another rabbit hole. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in front of the procession, and Bhakeshwar Pandit, along with the other devotees, chanted and danced behind him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed the body of Haridas Thakur in the sea and then declared, "From this day on, this sea has become the great pilgrimage site, a great pilgrimage site." Everyone drank the water that had touched the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur, and then they smeared remnants of Lord Jagannath's sandalwood pulp over Haridas Thakur's body. After a hole was dug in the sand, the body of Haridas Thakur was placed into it. Remnants from Lord Jagannath, such as his silken robes, sandalwood pulp, food, and cloth, were placed on the body. All around the body, the devotees performed congregational chanting, and Bhakeshwar Pandit danced in jubilation. With his transcendental hands, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally covered the body of Haridas Thakur with sand, chanting, "Haribo! Haribo!" like that. The devotees covered the body of Haridas Thakur with sand and then constructed a platform upon the site. The platform was protected all around by fencing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and chanted all around the platform, and as the holy name of Hari roared tumultuously, the whole universe became filled with the vibration. After Sankirtan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in the sea with his devotees, swimming and playing in the water in great jubilation. After circumambulating the tomb of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Singha Dwara gate of Jagannath temple. That means something about the lion. The lion? Yeah. The whole city chanted in congregation, and the tumultuous sound vibrated all over the city. Approaching the Singadwara gate, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread his cloth and began to beg prasadam from all the shopkeepers there. "I am begging prasadam for a festival honoring the passing away of Haridas Thakur," the Lord said. "Please, give me alms." Hearing this, all the shopkeepers immediately came forward with the big baskets of prasadam, which they jubilantly delivered to Lord Chaitanya. However, Swarup Damodar stopped them. The shopkeepers returned to their shops and sat down with their baskets. Swarup Damodar sent Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu back to his residence and kept with him 4 Vaishnavas and 4 servant carriers. Swarup Damodar said to all the shopkeepers, "Deliver to me 4 palmfuls of prasadam from each and every item." In this way, varieties of prasadam were collected, then packed up in different loads and carried on their heads to the four servants, of the four servants, on the heads of the four servants. Not only Swarup Damodar Goswami not only did Swarup Damodar Goswami bring prasadam, but Vaninath, Patnayaka, and Kashi Mishra also sent large quantities. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made all the devotees sit in rows personally began to distribute the prasadam, assisted by 4 other men. Krishna himself, in the mood of Radharani, is passing out prasadam to you. Here, take this prasadam. Devotees here in the Talavana, Prabhupada personally cooked for them and said, here, take this prasadam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not accustomed to taking prasadam in small quantities. He therefore put on each plate what at least 5 men could eat. And in India, the thing is, you sit down in these rows during the festivals, and you have to be really quick because they start coming down with the buckets, and they have these like banana leaves. Sometimes they sew together those other leaves. They sew together some other leaves, make a plate. You have to be like this. No, because everything that's on the plate must be eaten, and they just. It's just too much. I mean, you have to live. No. Yeah, and as soon as you move your hand, it comes down. Sri Damodar Goswami requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please sit down and watch. With these men to help me, I shall distribute the prasadam. The 4 men, Sri Damodar, Jagadananda, Kashi Ishwara, and Sankara, distributed the prasadam continuously. All the devotees who sat down would not eat the prasadam as long as the Lord had not eaten. On that day, however, Kashi Mishra had extended an invitation to the Lord. Therefore, Kashi Mishra personally went there and delivered prasadam to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great attention and made him eat. With Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down and accepted the prasadam. When he began to eat, so did all the Vaishnavas. Everyone was filled up to the neck because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept telling the distributors, give them more! Give them more! After all the devotees finished accepting prasadam and washed their hands and mouths, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decorated each of them with a flower garland and sandalwood pulp. Wow. Overwhelmed with ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered a benediction to all the devotees, which all the devotees heard with great satisfaction. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this benediction. Anyone who has seen the festival of Sri Haridasa Thakur passing away, anyone who has chanted and danced here, anyone who has offered sand on the body of Haridasa Thakur, anyone who has joined this festival to partake of the prasadam will achieve the favor of Krishna very soon. There is such wonderful power in seeing Haridasa Thakur. Being merciful upon me, Krishna gave me the association of Haridasa Thakur. Being independent of his desires, he has now broken that association. When Haridasa Thakur wanted to leave this material world, it was not within my power to detain him. This is God himself speaking. Simply by his will, Haridasa Thakur could give up his body and go away exactly like Bhishma, who previously died simply by his own desire, as we have heard from Shastra. Haridasa Thakur was the crown jewel on the head of this world. Without him, this world is now bereft of its valuable jewel. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told everyone, say all glories to Haridasa Thakur and chant the holy name of Hari. Saying this, he personally began to dance. Everyone began to chant all glories to Haridasa Thakur, who revealed the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thereafter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to all the devotees, and he himself with mixed feelings of happiness and distress, took rest. Thus I have spoken about the victorious pastimes, or passing away, of Haridasa Thakur. Anyone who hears this narration will certainly fix his mind firmly in devotional service to Krishna. There's a purport. Let me see how many more verses there are. So I'll just read the verses because the purports are pretty long, and you can go back later at your convenience to read. It's on chapter 11. I think it's chapter 11 in this part, volume 2. From the incident of Haridasa Thakur's passing away and the great care Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took in commemorating it, one can understand just how affectionate he is toward his devotees. Although he is the topmost of all sannyasis, he fully satisfied the desire of Haridasa Thakur. When Haridasa Thakur was at the last stage of his life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him his company and allowed him to touch him. Thereafter he took the body of Thakur Haridas on his lap and personally danced with it. Out of his causeless mercy, the Lord personally covered the body of Haridasa Thakur with sand and personally begged alms from the shopkeepers. Then he conducted a great festival to celebrate the passing away of Haridasa Thakur. Haridasa Thakur was not only the topmost devotee of the Lord, but also a great and learned scholar. It was his fortune that he passed away before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His life and characteristics, the life and characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are exactly like an ocean of nectar, one drop of which can please the mind and ear. Anyone who desires to cross over the ocean of nescience, please hear with great faith the life and characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Jara Asa Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita until the 11th chapter describing the pastimes of Haridasa Thakur. Namacharya Srila Haridasa Thakur ki, Krishnadas Kaviraj ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. I should say that. Anyone have anything they'd like to add? I know I've been there. Tell us some story about being there in Parikrama.
I remember something I was thinking of when you were starting the introduction and you were saying how Haridasa Thakur is Lord Brahma. I think I heard this, it might have been from Gaurav Maharaj, I might have heard it before, that because he was Lord Brahma, he did a big offense, taking the cowherd boys away for a year. And Indra did an offense too, but he caused the devotees to come closer together. Whereas Brahma took the cowherd boys and calves away from Krishna for a year. So his prayers of asking forgiveness are the longest prayers. And it still wasn't quite all right. So he came back as Haridasa Thakur to chant the holy names like that. So this is what I heard also.
Yeah, well, but it also, that pastime revealed the unlimited quality, the unlimited nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that it could expand into every one of the cowherd boys and calves, and it increased the love of the residents of Vrindavan, the mother cows and the cowherd men and their mothers felt more affection, because even though they were thinking it's their calf or they were thinking it was their child, it was actually Krishna. So this way they all got a chance then to be in the parental mood of Mother Jasoda. Not in the parental mood, but actually in the parental service. Because they actually got to feed, their children, cook for them, take care of them, the cows. And they were more attracted to their own children because they were Krishna at that moment, for that year. It was a moment of Brahma. But, I think it's the book. I don't know who wrote the. I have it at home. You were selling it here, the Glories of Haridasa Thakur.
The name of the book is Namacharya.
Namacharya. Who translated? Who originally wrote the book?
Was it Rupa Vilas Prabhu? I'm not sure.
No, I mean that he probably translated, but I mean, was it based on or he just did research on it?
Based on mainly Chaitanya Bhagavata and Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Okay.
Maybe some of his research.
And it had a very interesting introduction by Varsana Swami from Vrindavan. Yeah, I advise people to read that book. It's very nice. It's very sweet. Yeah, so anyway, this was kind of nice. So we just finished filming the cows First we went there to film the cows. We got there late, being milked, and we got there just in time for one of the calves to come running in and get the remnants of her portion of the milk. And then the last cow to be milked was one that we just recently purchased. And you can see that she's not, unfortunately in the film, you see our cow, and now this one is our cow, but this cow is very thin. And it's because the person who owned her previously wasn't taking care of her so well. And the calf had, it was a breech birth, I think, something like that. So we took the cow, and she's giving 2 gallons of milk a day, and we got to watch that happen. But seeing the calf drink from the mother was really sweet also. And then Jayanti told us a little bit about the whole program there. So it's really just going over there at that time in the morning while she's milking is it's the pure goodness. Really is pure goodness. So then, anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.